Well, welcome everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And I need a mover and a seconder. From Martin and Dean Grant. Now therefore be it resolved. This June 11th, 2024 regular meeting of council be called to order at 6 o'clock. And note that quorum has been achieved and the procedural bylaw be suspended for the duration of the meeting. Also regrets from Councillor Manson, who isn't able to be here tonight, but Councillor Latimer is with us via Zoom. All in favor? Okay, we are called to order. Next item on the agenda is a message from the mayor. And it's something I just want to announce publicly. Sadly, due to a serious health issue for the next few months, I will have to step back from my duties as mayor. I will, however, periodically meet with the CAO to keep abreast of township business, but my attendance at meetings will be put on hold. The staff and council of Calvin Township are now very strong, and I have every confidence in Bill Morton, who is deputy mayor, councillors Dean Grant, Robert Latimer, and John Manson. In addition, the administrative staff have proven themselves worthy of any challenge, and I have no doubt that through the efforts of our CAO Donna Maitland, deputy clerk Teresa Scrope, administrative assistant Patricia, and I always have trouble pronouncing Arujo, thank you, and the other members of our staff, that everything will remain on task and will continue to move forward. They all have proven themselves to be more than competent. There's a lot of work to do. Most notably is that the budget must be adopted, but I have every confidence that this will be done. Council is represented on a number of external committees and boards. Bill Morton is on the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority and also on their executive, and he's on the fire department. Dean Grant currently sits on two boards, the planning and police board. And I hope that the rest of council will agree to fill any voids that my absence will cause. I wish everyone well, and I hope to have a speedy recovery so I can return to lend my assistance to council. Thank you. Want a copy of that? Oh, you have it? So do we have any delegations of disqualifying pecuniary conflict of interest? No, none. Next item on the agenda is that we move to accept the agenda as approved. I need a mover as seconder. Okay. Councillor Morton and Councillor Latimer. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin hereby approve the agenda as circulated. In favor? Opposed? None? Carried. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Morton and Councillor Latimer. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin approves the meeting minutes of June the 11th, and that they are hereby adopted and signed as circulated. Any questions or comments? None? All in favor? I am as well, so that is carried. Next item on the agenda is delegations, and we have none. The next item on the agenda is resolution 224-225, the consent agenda. I have a mover and seconder, Councillor Morton and Councillor Grant. Now therefore be it resolved, the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of Calvin hereby receive the consent agenda items as circulated. Items requested by council for separate review and discussion will be brought forward by resolution at the next meeting. All those in favor? And I am as well, that's carried. Right. The next item is business arising from previous council meetings. So we have a bylaw, and I just need a mover and seconder to discuss this. Councillor Morton and Councillor Latimer. So, now, just a point of clarification, we have previously approved this. This is just the bylaw that goes along with the resolution. So whereas council by resolution and bylaw on March 26, 2024 approved amendments to the fees and charges bylaw as Schedule C landfill site service, which included residential and non-residential disposal and tipping fees. And whereas bylaw 2024-35 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2019-021 to establish and maintain a system of disposal of garbage and other refuge. And whereas council deems it necessary to amend this bylaw to include the disposal and tipping fees as updated to the fees and charges bylaw. Now therefore be it resolved that council for the corporation of the municipality of Calvin hereby approve the changes to add the residential and non-residential disposal and tipping fees Schedule A as attached, and that bylaw 2024-35 as attached and is hereby imposed and ratified. That the mayor and the CAO are designated as the signing officers and are authorized to execute on behalf of the corporation of the municipality of Calvin. That the attached Schedule A be hitherto and form part of the parcel of this bylaw. And that this bylaw 2019-21 and any other bylaws inconsistent with this bylaw is hereby repealed. This bylaw shall be enacted and in effect upon the signing thereof. This bylaw to be reviewed annually. Any questions, comments? None? None? All right, so all those in favor? And I'm as well, that is carried. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is the bylaw employment agreement for public works superintendent. Now, I understand that we did have an agreement, but we no longer have, so are we removing this?
So we can defer this to coming up closed, we'll discuss it.
Okay, so what we're doing is just removing it from the agenda at this point in time.
Right, we're deferring it to.
Sure. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the report from the fire chief, and of course we have Marielle here. So Marielle, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Perfect, thank you. And during the reported month of May, we received 3 calls. On May 10th, we received a medical assist on the south side of Highway 17, just across from 630. So if you know any of those back trails, a UTV actually needed to be used. The gentleman was injured, and the EMS assisted us to retrieving this gentleman. On the 19th, there was campers out past Brule Road. So in the back country, they actually come in by Chisholm, but it's qualified as Calvin, where their camp is. They had told us that it was
500 by 200.
Yeah. So it was a campfire out of control. But we asked them to send us a pin so we can actually locate them. And we never found the location, and they had extinguished it. Again, M&R was called. They have sight by their helicopter, which we don't have. And the third was during that windy day we had a few weeks ago on the 23rd, along the Highway 17, M&R was notified immediately. We were actually afraid that it was getting it into the swamp area, which is hard to access, but our crews were phenomenal. They put it out with backpacks, and it was extinguished within half an hour.
Good.
So M&R was actually impressed. The training activities on the fire department I attended the mutual aid, meeting on the 29th. Our previous OFM advisor had told us that that was 2 years ago, that the certification for firefighters, the date was just picked. There was no specific date. But after talking with Brian, and it was part of our meeting, July 2026, all of our firefighters need to be certified unless they are hired after 2022, then they'll be given 3 years to be certified. And so then we'll be concentrating on following the EPSA curriculum to prepare for the testing. Certified firefighters have been grandfathered in. And we have one firefighter well, myself included, that's 2, that have their certification for firefighter 1 and 2. But I spoke with Brian again, the OFM advisor, that asking for clarification because certain firefighters, as Bill, our dispatch, does not do any firefighting. So why would we, like, he is a valuable personnel in our fire department, and would Bill and Wayne be able to do the testing, which they would. And he said those 2, and then there's Wally also, he only does pump offs. So those firefighters are grandfathered in automatically because they don't do any firefighting. Period. So we'll be doing a vigorous training plan in order to be able to be prepared for the testing. Thus far, we have been touching base on a variety of skills as a base for the new firefighters, such as PPE, SCBA, AutoX, portable pumps, hose handling, and forest fires. And as I've said, and I also have training plans that have been approved by the OFM and MOL, which includes driver training also. Future plans, I'm hoping to enroll 3 firefighters to attain their Z endorsement, which is air brakes at Canadore, as soon as the course is being offered. And then they'll proceed to do their written and practical e-licensing. Again, I've touched base on the OFM. As I've said about with our 3 calls, 2 out of the 3, we actually needed the UTV, which is an ATV, which Donna and I have spoken about. This is becoming a valuable piece of equipment for the fire department. The association is prepared to fund a portion of the bike itself. So once we have our budget meeting. At 6 o'clock.
Usually don't get reception in here, sorry about that.
Test.
Yeah. So once we have our budget meeting, then we'll discuss it further.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Muriel. That's great. Are there any questions or yes?
I'm just curious about the firefighter training to be certified by July 2026. For any new firefighters after 2022 hired, that's what you're saying?
They'll get 3 years.
Okay. Does Ontario recognize out of province?
That was my other question, because I was
Yes.
talking
Yeah,
with one of our firefighters, and he is certified
one
in a
and
different
two,
province. So
Yeah.
that's something I need to ask the OFM about.
as well as the other search and rescue.
Yep.
Rope cleaning.
Yep.
Walk, swift water rescue, all of that, but
That's my
certified
question.
in another province.
Cause I was speaking with Pat and
Yeah,
I'll ask Brian about it.
okay.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any other questions or comments?
That's fine.
Okay,
What does SCBA mean?
Self-contained breathing apparatus,
Okay. And MOL?
Ministry of Labor,
Okay. Just acronyms.
yeah.
Thank you.
the municipal world is full of acronyms.
Works there.
A good idea to know
That's
very clearly what they mean, because
Yeah.
be in trouble if you interpret them the wrong way.
absolutely.
And I just want to, say that Muriel and I have been talking about the lack of equipment and personal use of ATVs, UTVs, and even vehicles, the fire department and how that puts us at risk. And, the people who are loaning these pieces of equipment to us, they're not insured.
The other.
Yeah.
Whole piece of the puzzle. The ATVs. In some calls are absolutely needed, and if need be, the fire department can commandeer. That particular vehicle from
Anybody?
anybody. Now, who is liable? If we use one of our firefighters' ATV, who is liable? That is, right?
Yeah,
And if necessary, because we talk a lot about liability, at the end of the day, I mean, we have to make sure we take ratepayers need to be put first in this whole scheme of liability. So if we have to advocate to the province or do something, we need to, because many times if we don't have good answers, we need to do something instead of just preventing a service,
And that's why I haven't brought forth my regulating bylaw because which is great that we're doing our budgetary meeting on the 20th, because without the ATV, how do you offer some of these services?
we'll go to our insurance company, right, because we
Yes.
talked about liability and, the responsibility of taking someone else's vehicle and the lack of insurance on their part, so before, we'll get those answers, because something that's come up recently.
Because again, that gentleman would have never got out without it.
Do the emergency crews from the hospital have,
They count on the fire department actually
Yeah.
having them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they rely strictly on fire department.
Yeah.
There was some regulation, internal regulation saying that weren't even supposed to go off-road.
Okay,
The supervisor actually came
I
off
mean-
with us.
I don't know, I've heard regulation that says they're not supposed to leave 6 feet from
Yeah,
the
'cause I-
defined edge of the road, so if someone's 8 feet in the ditch, they have to wait, I don't think that's real life, but.
It is.
It is.
Gail and I come back and model.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they wouldn't. wait
Last year, a
8 feet, but-
paramedic was disciplined because he went up the conservation area here, away from the rig.
Yeah.
It's more of a liability for the equipment on the rig. Somebody's got to stay with
Yeah,
the
I
rig.
mean, I feel quite strongly about these are the kinds of things that destroy a society. Is when we place,
Oh, yeah.
rules above actual ratepayers. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I agree that they're rules. We have to find workarounds. We have to find ways to solve them.
absolutely.
Which that's kind of a happy medium, right? And to me, the patient takes priority. But
Especially as politicians too, I think it's literally the job of politicians, not necessarily staff up to enforce them. So the job of politicians to make sure that we just try to solve some of these issues.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, then I'll call resolution 2024-228 to a vote. I need a mover and a seconder to accept the report of the fire chief. Councillor Latimer and Councillor Grant. Go, yes. Latimer and Grant. Now therefore be it resolved, the Council for the Corporation Municipality of Calvin has received and approves the fire chief report. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, Mariel. And the next item on the agenda is the amendment to bylaw 2021-26 to appoint a joint community emergency management coordinator, CEMC. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Morrison and Councillor Grant. No. Whereas bylaw 2021-026 being a bylaw to appoint a joint community emergency management coordinators, CEMC, and their alternatives for the corporation of the municipality of Calvin, and for the corporation of the township of Papineau Cameron requires updating specifically to reflect the appointments of the current CEMC and their alternates. And whereas, as requested by Papineau Cameron, Vanessa Wally's name be changed within the bylaw to Vanessa Wilson, and that Julie Daniel be hereby designated as CEMC for the municipality of Calvin, and Muriel Labreche as the alternate CEMC for the municipality of Calvin, and both as alternate CEMCs for the township of Papineau Cameron. Now therefore be it resolved, Council of the Corporation and Municipality of Calvin hereby approves the appointment, and that bylaw 2024-37 as attached is hereby imposed and ratified. That the mayor and the CAO are designated as signing officers and authorized to execute on behalf of the Corporation and Municipality of Calvin. That the attached agreement be hereto and form part and parcel of this bylaw. That the bylaw 2021-026 and any other bylaw inconsistent with this bylaw is hereby repealed. This bylaw shall be enacted and in effect upon the signing thereof. This is this bylaw to be reviewed 1 year effective of the signing date. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Steve.
Just reading here. And both as alternative C, so Julie Daniels, both the CEMC for us and Papineau.
And the alternate.
The alternate for
Yeah.
Papineau. Okay.
And so just it's a question, so obviously, there is compensation for the position, so if a CEMC were to represent multiple municipalities, were to attend a conference or something, would they receive remediation pay from both municipalities? Or
So-
individual? I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, so when attending conferences, they're representing their official municipality. So for example, that meeting, the annual meeting just happened last week. Julie was there representing us.
Because
and
she-
Vanessa was there representing.
Because she's an alternative.
No, because she is our CEMC.
Yes, and she's alternative in Papineau.
No, she's there representing Calvin as our CEMC.
Okay. Whatever.
And Vanessa's there representing Papineau Cameron as their CMC. So in the case of an emergency in Papineau only, and Vanessa was unable to attend that particular emergency, then our CMC would be her alternate.
And then switch.
And if we had an emergency that didn't involve Papineau, but Julie was unable to attend our emergency meeting, then Vanessa would come to represent, to replace Julie.
Okay, I mean, I can see some like efficiencies here as well with training and the things aren't being duplicated with a bunch of different people, so
And this isn't a new bylaw, we're just replacing names. This bylaw exists.
makes sense to me. I hear me.
Any other questions or comments? No? No? All right, so I will call this to a vote. All those in favor of resolution 2024-229? And that is me as well, so that is carried unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the Canadian Ecology Centre Board of Directors to appoint a representative. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Morton and Councillor Grant. Whereas the Corporation Municipality of Calvin is not currently represented on the Board of Directors for the Canadian Ecology Centre, an important not-for-profit outdoor environmental education and conference centre, offering a variety of year-round educational programs and events in the municipality of Calvin. And whereas both the Canadian Ecology Centre's administration and council for the municipality of Calvin welcome the municipality's active participation on the CEC Board of Directors for the purpose of carrying out a board governance role. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Gould, be appointed as CEC as the council's representative on the CEC board until the end of the current term of council, and that the Canadian Ecology Centre be informed of this appointment with the request to submit all approved meeting minutes during the term of the appointment as they become available to both the mayor and CAO, so that the appointee can meet his reporting obligations to council, including through meeting minute distribution in council meeting packages. Any questions or comments? None? I should mention that, as per my earlier announcement, I will be stepping back for a number of months. I did attend the CEC 25th anniversary a few days ago, and we talked about the board. They just had a board meeting. One of our audience members was at that board meeting as well. And I'm told that the next board meeting won't be until September, October, or November. So it's quite a ways off, and I'm sure I hope to be back in the saddle by that time.
And they do only meet quarterly.
Right.
And I believe Councillor Latimer was also as part of the public in that meeting.
Yes, Councillor Latimer showed up as well. And yeah, it's an important organization for Calvin Township. It's a big board too. If I may ask, Wayne, how many people are on the board? I met 4 or 5, but
I think there's a total of 8 now.
there's 8.
A lot of it is representatives from municipalities. I was 9 years as rep in your position, now I'm member at large, but
Right.
there's about 50-50 council appointed and members at large.
Right.
It changes, but I think it's around 9 now.
All right, so if there's no other comments or questions, I will call this to a vote. All those in favor? Thank you very much for the appointment. That I am in favor as well, and so the motion is carried. Next item on the agenda is just that we have some I'm lost again. We have
8.1.1.
oh, so I am missing one.
Take your time.
You're missing one there.
Thank you. That's the one I was missing. This is the resolution that I will be resigning my seat on the planning board. I need a mover and a seconder. I'm moving the motion, so it's moved by me, and my seconder is Bill Morton. Whereas with regret, Mayor Gould resigned my seat on the East Nipissing Planning Board, and whereas Councillor Manson has declined to take on this role, and that given that Councillor Grant and Morton have other numerous commitments on other boards, now therefore be it resolved that either Councillor Latimer work on this board if it's possible as a Zoom meeting, or that it's left open. So and advise council at its next meeting of his decision. In the meantime, that the planning board be informed of the status of our representation. Comments?
I do have a comment.
Sure.
So I've seen as I'm the member of the planning board, it's these boards become challenging because I now have conflict with the police services board for the next planning board meeting.
Well, you can always get them to change the planning board.
Well, I'm gonna have to send some emails and see if there's anything can be done, but if we leave it vacant, like, I mean, as a board member, I could suggest electronic participation, become something that we introduce, but I have to go and make it.
I have a couple of questions about it. So this is the first I've really, just reading through the agenda. I'm being asked to consider joining a board. When do they meet and how often? Where do they meet? A few details are missing.
Once a month, and they meet at the Matawan Township office. So the next meeting is on the 24th of this month.
And which day is that? Is
Monday.
it so Monday?
The only way you'd be able to attend would be electronically, and I don't know if they'll do electronic.
It's not something that's a part of it. It would have to be a new thing. It would have to be something that's.
It's something you don't have to decide on tonight, Councillor Latimer. It was just, that, have two representatives on that board. And I will be missing the next 4 meetings, on the planning board. So.
Why do we need 2 people, 2 council members on this particular board? Is there a reason? Is it regulation? What is it?
There are 3 municipalities involved in the East Nipissing Planning Board: Matawan, Papineau, Cameron, and Calvin. And if they each had only 1 member, if only 1 person didn't show up, then they would not have quorum. So then they decided that there would be 2 members from each municipality so that they could maintain quorum.
Yeah, and it still could be difficult to get quorum because, you know, it's, it depends, it varies on attendance, right? But we do try to schedule the meetings. Michelle's very good at trying to be flexible with the meeting to get
Right.
the most attendance. It's not a set day. So.
Dean, maybe, Councillor Grant, maybe I will touch base with you and get some more details on that flexibility. And to tell you the truth, I'd sooner be on the VMUTS board than the planning board, but I'll consider it with some more information.
Yeah, our CAO had a question?
And just to help to respond to some of your questions, and perhaps Councillor Grant, that meeting, I have asked for terms of reference to answer those kinds of questions, and none exist. And we don't have a contract with the East Nipissing Planning Board, its own separate entity, by the way. It's incorporated, and we don't have an agreement with them. I'm told to look back into the early 90 files if I should look for one. We pay them annually, don't know what for what. It's nothing in writing, and there are no terms of reference from the planning board that they can provide to us to help to answer those questions.
All right. You guys can forward next.
And you asked that too, and
Yes.
get a response.
And I didn't read this one, so. All right, I've read the resolution, yes. So then I'll just call this to a vote.
We're just simply gonna defer the resolution?
Well, it says that in the meantime, the planning board, the council Latimer consider joining this board
Okay,
and
all right.
advise council at its next meeting of his decision. That in the meantime, the status of any representation.
See, to read it again.
Yeah. So all those in favor? Oh. Donna, let's read the next one. This is for,
Nuts and bolts.
so this is 2024-232. Need a mover and a seconder. Nuts and bolts. Councillor Morton and Latimer. Go ahead.
To discuss about surplus equipment that had available for sale, and Muriel was only recently able to get the tire sizes, so we put this out now. You had previously approved it, but not formally in a motion, so now therefore be resolved. Council Calvin declared 6 tires, 8 fold rims fit for the Chevrolet or GMC 225/75 R16s as surplus to the needs of the municipality, and hereby authorizes the CEO to offer these as is at best offer. As I said, you previously approved this, we just hadn't formally put it up yet, so it's out there.
Any questions or comments? None. Call this to a vote. All those in favor? And I am as well, so that is carried. Agencies, committees, Federal Conservation Authority. Councilor Morton, that is you, and you have 2 roles there. You're on the executive and on the board, correct?
Right, it's the same.
So,
But the financial statement, which is on the website. Our next meeting is the 20th. Open meeting is
All right, does anyone have any comments, questions? No. East Nip, Planning Board, I was unable to make the last meeting, it was a medical appointment, and I think you weren't able.
I was also unable to make the last meeting, yes.
So we don't have a report from the planning board. They also only meet quarterly, so we still haven't met since the last meeting, so there is no report yet. The next one will be in 3 months' time, so. The OPP Detachment Board, Councillor Grant?
Just that I know that there's a meeting scheduled for June 24th. That's 6:30.
All right,
That's my report.
thank you for those reports. Bill, it was pretty in-depth, though, lots of details on the budget, huh?
Well, the outgoing CAO wanted to make sure that paperwork is all done for whoever takes over.
Next item on the agenda is the moving into closed session. So I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Morrison and Councillor Latimer. Now therefore be it resolved, the Council of the Corporation Municipality of Calvin hereby move into closed session at 6:37 to discuss labor relations and employee negotiations, section 239(2)(d), and litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting municipal or local boards. All those in favor? Thank you very much. To our audience. We'll shut down the recording and
Anyway, all the best.
thank you.